talking with Jean Hill, perhaps the closest eyewitness to the Kennedy assassination. She says that she relives that moment every day. And Dr. Cyril Wecht, a forensic specialist who discovered that the president's brain was missing from the National Archives. You were both technical advisors on Oliver Stone's film, about to be released next month. Jean, what was it like seeing you recreated?
Oh, that was, well, it was great to meet Kevin Costner and Oliver Stone. But I have to tell you, Maury, that when I went down on the set the day that they were doing the motorcade, and I was on the hill overlooking the place where I'd been standing, and there was the girl in the red raincoat, and the limousine was coming around, the crowds were cheering, and I wanted to start screaming, "Stop it, stop it, don't kill him." And
you thought you
the shots rang out, and it was horrifying. It was just horrifying. And someone ran up to me and says, "What's wrong?" Because I was standing there just drowning in tears because it was so real. It was just relived.
Why are we so obsessed, Doctor?
Kennedy was the most charismatic political figure that we've had, not only in that era, but you know, since the United States was born as a nation. He was powerful, he was charismatic, he had a beautiful family. The Kennedys were the closest to royalty that the United States has had since George Washington. The manner in which he was brutally assassinated, this young dynamic leader, this husband, this father, and this continues to obsess us.
I think
and young people today who weren't even born.
The obsession comes from the fact that I think we all feel violated by that act.
Yes, and also we feel frustrated in learning the truth, Maury. That's a big part of it too.
Jean, I'm curious as to how vivid is your memory as to the faces of the two men that were taking you and the men in the room? Because the reason I ask this question is, why were there not any sketches or etches put together of the faces of the people that you may or may not have seen? They obviously, if it was a conspiracy, had to be somebody.
Well, but you see, the government never did tell us it was a conspiracy. We had the government's point of view.
And well, what did you think? You were nuts? I mean, did you think...
They told me I was.
But I mean, today, could you describe, I mean, can you remember the faces?
I have been talking to a sketch artist, and we're going to try to do that.
Because this is beginning to gain momentum again.
Right.
Another opening up of the assassination and the so-called conspiracy theories.
Jean, has Jacqueline Kennedy ever spoken up about hearing more than the 3 shots?
No.
She has never spoken up.
I don't think she's spoken up at all.
Do you know why?
No, I surely don't.
Well, and there's also a lot of the information, as I understand it, Doctor, that came about that would buttress a conspiracy theory, that had to go through the United States Attorney General at the time, and that was Robert F. Kennedy. And he did not push for any of this to be opened up, did he?
Materials still remain locked up, Maury, and will not be released until the year 2039, FBI and CIA files.
Yes.
Well, today, do you still think that it was all a setup that President Kennedy got killed?
Oh, there's no question.
It was a setup, but who?
Well,
which theory do you go with? Do you go with the mafia? Do you go with the Cubans? Was it the Russians? Was it the right-wing Texans? Was it...
Maury, let me say this. While everybody's entitled to their own thoughts, both the government and all of the assassination critics who have spent countless hours and years, nobody has ever come up with anything to incriminate the Russians or the Cubans or Lyndon Johnson or so on. This was a domestic plot. It came from the CIA, and it used the Carlos Marcello mafia family out of New Orleans to execute a lot of things, including, most importantly, the killing of Lee Harvey Oswald by Jack Ruby. That was essential, that there never be a trial. That was key.
We'll be back in a moment after this.
Rooms with the amenities the business traveler loves and the small details that feel like home. Minutes away from the best of New York City.
I was 19 when this happened, and when you're 19 years old, everything is very black and white. And like you said, they were royalty to me, and I wept. I can still remember weeping and weeping through the funeral. I'm sorry now that I'm about his age that the Kennedys have become gray, and that we are being so lambasted with the grays of them. I would have preferred to leave the memory as pure as I remember it when I was 19.
Yeah. And a lot of us don't. We want it back, and you're trying to jumpstart it again. I thank you very much, Jean Hill, for telling us your story for the first time. And Dr. Wecht, You've been into this now for a long time, and maybe finally the fruits of your efforts will be born. I thank you so much for joining us. Yeah, it was 28 years ago, but just like many of you, it is so vivid in my mind. It is so vivid in all our minds, and let's hope that we find out the truth in our lifetime. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Until next time, America.
The Hesda shooting. Parkland Hospital has been advised to stand by for a severe gunshot wound. And the first unconfirmed reports say the president was hit in the head. The President of the United States is dead. I have just talked to Father